Hey there, friendlies. How's up? Welcome to another in my sort of irregular series of panel discussions, the series where I get to talk to people that I respect about things that interest me mightily. I do want to get one thing out of the way up front. I do not have beer tonight. I have water because at lunchtime today, I ate something that said, "Hey, you've just ruined your day." So it's water for me tonight. I hope that someone will have a tasty, tasty beverage in my name. I have two guests tonight. Both are homesteaders from very different parts of the country, and both have very different homesteads. And that is part of why I wanted these two people on tonight. I think it would have been interesting to have had like an Australian homesteader on as well, or maybe someone from the deep south or something. Because if there's any sort of lifestyle that depends on the weather, it's farming and homesteading. So I will just introduce the guests for tonight. Guest number one is a homesteader in Saskatchewan. He's also the reeve of his county. That's a municipal elected official for those of us who've never even heard of that before. And his homestead is full of animals, maybe more than crops. I'm not entirely sure. He's got a small channel where he shows just sort of snapshots of homestead life. That is, I believe, in the show notes down below. So I'm going to welcome to the show Eric Schmaltz. How's it going, Eric?
Good to be here. Nice.
I'm looking forward to hearing you talk about your life tonight. And the second guest is someone who is very, very known to virtually everyone who is a longtime watcher of mine. She has a homestead here in Quebec, further east than me. She also has a fairly successful channel, if I do say so myself, where she shows long form and short form videos about life on the homestead here in Quebec. So here is Mallorie from Quebec Homestead. How's it going, Mel?
Hey, I'm good. I'm glad I'm not late.
I'm glad I'm not late. I was in a school governing board meeting until like a few minutes ago. So
yeah,
we're all here. We're all here.
There you go. Awesome. Hi, everybody.
So what I would like to do to start is I'd just like to invite you guys to describe your homesteads a bit. Just going from my
Eric's having issues again. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we'll start with Mallorie then.
Yeah.
Tell us, to those who may not know who you are, tell us about your homestead, what you've got.
All right. Well, we moved here in 2017, and it's a really rundown property. It's one of the older properties that was built in this village, and it's in the 1800s. First date that we have is 1886. But it wasn't built by very rich people. So, I mean, the infrastructure has a lot of stuff that's really weirdly done. So there's a lot of renos to be done, and it hasn't been really touched in like 40 years. So we're trying to renovate it. Even the pastures, we have 200 acres. There's 30 acres of pastures that has just been left on its own, like overrun. It was becoming a forest, actually. So we're just trying to bring everything back to life. We don't have much livestock as of right now because we're just sort of a little bit too busy with the renos and trying to get it up to date, up to speed with everything and safe. But I do have a lot of gardens, and I grow lots of vegetables. I'm not completely self-sufficient because it's really hard here in Quebec with our crazy winter to be self-sufficient 100%. And it's not my goal either. I just want to depend less on the grocery stores, but not completely, So yeah, that's me. That's Quebec Homestead.
And Eric, if your tech issues are solved, no, you're still having trouble, eh?
Still having technical grief here, man. Sorry.
Oh.
For those of you who don't know, which is everyone except Eric and me, we did a test run earlier today, and he was having some serious technical difficulties. Let's just do that whole crossed fingers thing and hope for the best.
We're good. We're good. I'm good now.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
So
sorry,
tell
Mallorie,
us about your
absolutely everything.
Well, Mallorie just told us about her homestead, sort of the lay of the land, that she's heavy on the crops, a little less heavy on the animals. So tell us about your homestead in Saskatchewan. By the way, you're in central Saskatchewan or south or north?
Central. So if you drew a parallel between Edmonton and, trying to think, Timmins, maybe, you'd be able to draw that line.
Okay, so it's pretty north. I mean, Edmonton's pretty north.
Yeah, Edmonton's pretty north. Yeah, we get. I mean, it's when southern Saskatchewan, when they have like this week, they've been having, I think, +8-degree weather. We're still in the -2 or +2. So we're.
Dude, yeah, I remember speaking to you a couple of weeks ago, and you had a foot of snow on the ground or something, and I was still in Rainsville. Yeah, 50
centimeters. Election night, election eve, the eve before the election, it was 50 centimeters of snow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So tell us all about your homestead.
Okay, so well, I mean, if we're going back far enough, I guess I started life where my career was I was a mounted police officer. I was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for 13 years. Decided to get out of it. Didn't enjoy the work anymore. It was hard on the coconut, we'll say. It was not fun. Not a fun job to do anymore. So we. This is, of course, is very, very watered down what I'm telling you. So we decided to move back to my home area where I was born and raised. My wife is from much further south, and we bought a farm. We were farming at that time. I was farming and policing at the same time, which is, anybody out there, I would not recommend that at all. That is the worst combination because you have a finite amount of holidays to get your job done, and farming is completely dependent on the weather. So you could take your entire 2 weeks off to farm, and it gets blown out of your world. So you have to, and then you go back to your boss and try and ask, can I get more time off to finish this? No, sorry. So anyway, we left there. We bought I was looking to buy more land, but we thought, why not buy a house on it at the same time, and then it could be a home. And then, we bought east of Prince Albert, which is where our home is. I mean, that's pretty vague, but we bought 152 acres of land on the title. In the wet years, we're affected by groundwater and runoff, so we get anywhere between 60 and 110, depending on the year and how much moisture is delivered throughout the year. So yeah, it's been great. We keep sheep, pigs. We had chickens for a while. Then we had.
Wait! You got rid of the chickens?
We had 2 different breeds of cattle. Yeah, we downsized on the chickens. We found that it was just the chickens were a bridge too far.
Okay.
They were like. You could manage the other bigger animals, the other big animals. Sorry, I keep getting in. I put on do not disturb, but I keep getting disturbed. We keep the chickens were just too much to continually look after and butcher in the fall. We found that you get enough of those, you start crossing into insanity. So we keep 2 breeds of cattle. Or we had 2 breeds of cattle. Those are gone now. We just have the 1 breed, and yeah, we do a custom haying operation as well at the same time. So,
and also you're into like heritage breeds, right?
Yeah.
Or at least you used to be.
Adopted the philosophy that. Yeah, we adopted the philosophy that we wanted something that we wanted to kind of continue those old school, slow grown kind of stuff that could, if something happened to us on the farm, the animals could survive without us. And that was a philosophy that was kind of adopted. We have friends west of here that have a really off-grid homestead, and they have yak. They keep yak. They got rid of all of their beef cattle, so they farm yak, heritage breed hogs. What else they get into? I'm trying to think what else he's got. He's Icelandic sheep like us. Like we've got a lot of our start from them. We bought a lot of our stock from them when we started. So yeah, it's been a really big, steep learning curve.
Yeah.
And you got Icelandic sheep, and I believe you have Mangalitsa
Pigs,
pigs. Yeah.
the
Yeah,
curly ones.
Yeah, so the curly haired ones. Yeah, they look like
Yeah.
they look like they look like one of the board. Sorry, I'm doing a traditional German pour of a Jesse's favorite beer, which is a Hefeweizen. Jesse hates this stuff, but I love it. And so this is how you pour it, and you keep the head inside the bottle.
Yeah.
And then once it gases off, then you do the swirl the bottom, and you get all the sediment into the glass. And in the meantime, though, I have no patience. So cheers. Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, I one of the things that when I first met you, you had just moved there and were setting up, for the heritage breeds and stuff. And I remember FaceTiming with you when you got those Mangalitsa's, and to me, it just seemed like such a cool way to do it because it's so different. It's like there's factory farming, and then there's the diametric opposite, which is your farm. And I believe you are doing meat to sell as well, right?
Yeah, we do meat sales off farm. So get back to the Mangalitsa's. Actually, the person we bought them from is also named Mallorie, and she recently moved back to Quebec. Her name is Mallorie Obey, and I have to give her credit. She was living in Camrose at the time, and she had imported this breed from the U.S. because Hungary had these insane heritage laws because it's one of the only things that are unique to Hungary, I guess. The some of the livestock. Europe in general has very
dog is
protective
too
of their.
Really?
Yeah,
my dog.
Hungary.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, my dog, the Kuvas, is also a heritage breed from Hungary, and he looks like a sheep.
So did you have a really hard time importing them, or was it already here? Was there a breeder in South
There's a
Canada?
breeder here, yeah, and she had the male imported from Hungary. So I don't know how that works, but I know that his dad was directly imported from Hungary, which is
right.
cool.
So in Europe, it's crazy. So actually, what precipitated us getting these Mangalitsa pigs is our interest in like dry aging and charcuterie and doing like Westphalian hams and Spanish Iberian style hams and things like that. And because Spain has these insane laws as well, most of Europe does, you cannot export an Iberian hog from Spain. It is forbidden. It is like worse than trafficking cocaine. If you get caught trying to take one out of the country. So you what they do is because Spain is known for its ham, like it's incredible. So the next best thing we could get our hands on was Mangalitsa pigs, and they carry a lot of the same body conformation, the same lard content, a lot of the good heavy marbling within the lard or within the meat, and like a red. Like there's pictures on the internet of the Mangalitsa pork laid next to a piece of Angus beef, and you can't tell which is which. Really, it's really cool.
There's a few homesteaders on YouTube that actually grow them too. There's a Roots and Refuge, and there's also the Homestead that have those type of pigs.
Right, and it's very rare.
Yeah,
a very rare breed. Yeah,
cool.
So,
well, if I want pigs one day and you have little babies, maybe I could road trip to Saskatchewan.
100%.
Wouldn't be the farthest that Mallory's gone. Yeah. But Mallorie, you're going to be doing animals more later, but right now you're mostly a huge pile of vegetables. But you also do some herbs and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, I got like pretty much all my herbs. I dry them up and everything, and I make my little blends for the winter. I have like my storage stuff, my potatoes, but my cabbage didn't do too well this year. So
your potatoes, on the other hand, did epically well.
Oh yeah, man, my potatoes are amazing. But what I was gonna say is that for meat, I'm pretty lucky because my neighbors grew their like sanglichon. It's a white pig and a mix with a wild boar together. So they got they're like a freezer full. So I could probably exchange a little bit. And I also do chickens, my own chickens. So my freezer is full of those. And we had a cow that was roaming free range on my property all summer. So she's in the freezer now. So I mean, it's not too bad. We're pretty good on meat, and it was free. So
Nice.
yep.
So that's sort of an aperçu, guys, of what these two people have in their homesteading. Now we're December, so you guys have both probably gone through the whole winterizing and season change. I don't know if that extends into December or if you're all
Yes.
finished, but I would be very interested to know how such different homesteads deal with the change of season from the green side to the white side. I don't know which you wants to go first, but I just give us like a high level for dummies rundown of what it takes to move
All
a
right.
homestead from summer growing and harvest into the winter
All right.
times.
Well, on my farm, it's making sure you have the hay for all the animals. So stocked up like completely for the full year, because you don't want to have to go out and do runs for hay every week. You want to make sure to have a place to store your hay at a nice dry yeah, and it's expensive for sure. Some people do it on their land. My pastures, like I said, are just completely just disgusting. So I'm gonna have many years of trying to bring it back to life before doing hay on it. So I had to buy it. Then the next thing is picking up everything on the lawn, everything in the gardens before snow falls, because if you're looking for a ladder, you don't want to go digging in the snow and like trying to find it with an ice pick, like last year I did. I'm never ready. Like I always think that I'm going to be ready, but I'm never ready. Snow just comes so fast.
You're not alone.
And what else? Oh yeah, then you got to make sure that the snowblower is on the tractor. Everything is fine. Everything is oiled and ready to go. Man, that's usually Ben's job because he does all that here because I'm usually inside with the girls. What else? Oh, there's so much stuff. Guys. Making sure you have all the winter clothes, all the boots, everything set up for the long winter ahead. Because when you're outside, and I'm here full time, so I have to have two pairs of boots to make sure there's one always dry. And for the girls too, like for the kids, everybody has two sets of clothes because it's just so crazy. Other than that, firewood. I have 16 cords of wood in my basement.
That'll get you through.
Yeah, it should. Last year we had 12 and we ran out. So this year we have 16 in the basement. And I did a short video on that. It's like, I don't know, 30 to 45 seconds long short video on that on my channel to show you guys what 16 cords of wood looks like.
Right.
Other than that, what else did I need to? Oh yeah, I stock up on wood shavings too for the animals, because that's another thing that if you go out to the co-op and buy one bag at a time, they're really expensive. So we bought them in bulk, so they're way cheaper that way. And especially now with COVID, I didn't want to have to go to the store more than I have to.
And this is just you put it down in the bottom of their cages and stuff then?
Yeah, like I have 40 bags of it. They're, I think, 3 to 4 cubic foot bags of wood shavings in a plastic bag. So I have 40 of those stacked in my barn with my hay. And yeah, so for now, that's pretty much what it looks like. I'm probably going to think of more things that we do, but I'll let Eric talk a little bit.
I was going to ask you, do you do square bales or is it round bales you do?
I do both. I have 30 round bales, and I have them outside with a plastic over them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dry. It's dry for my horses. I don't like. I had goats, but we got rid of the goats. We just weren't ready to have too many animals.
So it's like having goats are like they call them the devil. It's every homesteader's the devil is the goat.
We had one. We started. We were like, oh, cool. We're gonna build up our herd, and we had a female. She was so sweet. She was like a dog. Honestly, she was like a dog. And we had just gotten the livestock guardian dogs. We're like, we're gonna train our dog with this goat. But man, she would get into everything. She'd get into the dog food. She'd poop everywhere. And then we're like, okay, we need to fence her in. Okay, so we fenced her in. She would seriously, we underestimated the force and the seriously, she would like go through all the wooding and fencing. It was crazy.
Siding off the house, to the siding
Ah,
off the house. Yeah,
my gosh,
everything.
yeah. So we ended up saying, okay, Nala, she's big and fat. We were gonna reproduce her because she was a bower. She was really nice, and we had 2 little baby bowers too. But we ended up selling the 2 babies, and then we transformed Nala. It was our first processing Ben and I did together. So that was an interesting experience.
There are 2 things that will test a marriage. One is doing your first processing of animals on the farm. The second is working livestock together.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever have to like herd animals together, that is a test of a marriage, believe me.
Yeah, and also being full time with kids at home is another really good test of marriage. I can tell you. I can tell you.
100%. We're still figuring that one out.
Yeah.
So our winter prep is very similar. There is stuff gets scattered across the yard, like through the summer. So to back it up a bit, you're always fighting the clock in homesteading.
Yep.
In farming, homesteading, anything you're relying on nature to do anything, you are fighting the clock constantly. Like for instance, now I am in my head planning how to do work on the baler. I've got a tractor in a shop right now that we're doing some seal work on. I'm selling hay right now, so that adds another dynamic, plus my political commitments. So there's never a never a down moment. So for us, it's you start planning when the snow is still on the ground. So January, February, you're starting, and if it gets a warm day, you're actually outside working on a piece of equipment, even if you're as far north as I am. It doesn't matter. You have to get it done. Otherwise, when you run out of time, the hay doesn't stop growing. It needs to be cut at a certain time. That's another thing. You try to catch it in bloom. And if you're selling hay to a dairy barn, they only want 10% bloom in the alfalfa in the field. So there's stuff that you have to think about, considerations that you're planning for, 3-4 months down the road after the hay is done. So sorry, I got off on a tangent there. I do that often. Right. So winter prep, like Mallorie said, get everything off the lawn, get everything and put up somewhere where you can keep it, that you're going to be able to find it. I know there's stuff that I've meant to put away this fall that I didn't get done. Get the hay brought in so you're not driving through the field in 4 feet of snow to try and collect bales and move stuff around.
Right.
The other thing you have to do is when you have animals of any kind, and Mallorie, I'm sure you'll agree with me here, you have to make sure that you have water.
Oh, yes.
Feed is one thing. Water is the most important because,
yep.
They'll go quite a while without feed if there's an emergency or if there's a breakdown in your food conveyance. But you can't. Water is huge, and for me, I still don't have a plumbed in water system, because you can get watering bowls that are heated and they're automatic. So they as the animal drinks, the float goes down, it kicks in just like your toilet tank, for lack of a better
That's
example.
what I have.
But what I have is and you're lucky, because we've been planning to put it in and we just never get it done because we're busy and it costs so much. Like I would venture to say I'm looking at like $25,000 just to plumb it from the house.
Oh my gosh, really?
So yeah, by the time
laying pipe in the ground always adds on to the price, eh?
And my problem is that all of my utilities are underground here, which is great. When you're moving stuff around the yard, you don't ever have to worry about contact with grain augers or big tractors with loaders and stuff, which is awesome. But on the same token, on the flip side of that coin, you've got to worry about where you're digging. I can't trench it myself. I have to hire a line boring company to come in here and dip underneath, or have them daylighted.
Yeah.
So, like preparation, the clock, fighting time, and making sure your feed and your animals are watered. That's the biggest thing, preparation. And Mallorie, I wanted to say something too.
Yeah.
Your the video you did on burnout.
Yes.
That is important.
Yes.
No one ever talks about that. Everybody romanticizes homesteading like this is going to be like a complete vacation. and it's going to be paradise. We're going to have such a great time. It is work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have to be committed to it. It is not a walk in the park at all.
No,
But
definitely.
I'm not saying that it's not rewarding and I don't love it, because you love it. But there is some times where it can be anxiety inducing.
Definitely. Especially like if you're in a colder climate like where I am and you don't have a greenhouse, and then you know, when you have everything in the ground ready, everything's ready at the same time. So it's like you are rushing against the clock. And like if I had a greenhouse, it could have maybe saved me a little bit of time to say like, okay, I don't have to like rush all my tomatoes at the same time as my cucumbers, at the same time as everything else, you know?
Mhm.
So, and I could have like started a few things earlier. And so that's like my big challenge. So next year that's going to be like on the list, like greenhouse. But yeah, burnout is definitely a thing. I've been homesteading with Ben since 2014, and I don't think I've taken a vacation since. Like seriously, zero vacation. Like I took a weekend, but zero vacation since. So especially, well, of course I have young kids too, but I mean, that's also another factor that, you know, homesteading with young kids is freaking hard. But yeah, burnout is a thing. And I'm going to definitely do a video more in depth on that. Not only a live, like a real video on that.
Before we go any further, I want to say a couple of things. First, because I don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation too much, whenever somebody says something that I find really interesting or like really apropos, I'm just going to pop it up on the screen. And if anyone who is, you know, on screen with me wants to riff off of it, go for it. But otherwise, I'm just putting them up to share them with you guys. Second of all, if any of you guys have specific questions for either of the guests tonight, I would love it if you would write question in all caps, colon, and ask your question for blah, or just general question, and then ask your question, because I find that the side chat is scrolling just quick enough that I've missed a few things.
I have a question for Eric.
Yeah.
Cecilia has a question here. Well, she said, you know, she hauled water and stuff. And I was wondering, instead of maybe just like getting a huge line dug, you know, insulated and everything in the ground, can't you just like maybe dig a little bit, not as deep, and then put a heating wire on it so that it could bring water over there and not be so deep?
Well, the trouble with that is it's still cost prohibitive, because you're still fighting frost.
Yeah.
And I would probably argue that it would be a little harder, because now you've got a smaller volume of water stretched over a further distance, exposed to more cold. And typically the utilities in our area are sometimes only 2 feet in the ground. So you get, like, I mean, it's really, there's a lot of shallow utilities around us, especially because, I mean, back in the 60s, 70s, they didn't really care. This was bare farmland at one point. They thought, no, we'll just scrape it in wherever we can in some of the unusable land. But that comment I forget her first name, the one you just had up there, Jess, what was it?
I think it was Cynthia.
Cynthia, yeah. So our first year, that's exactly what I did. I hauled water by hand in pails, actually in the back of my in the picture that Jess had in the show header there. That UTV we have, that thing hauled a lot of water. And it was, and sometimes it's a good fitness regime if you want to try it. I used to carry the pails from the house, which is about 250 yards, meters, 250 meters roughly.
And we used to do that only when we have a power outage.
Yeah, and you have to do it. I mean, that's the thing. If you're not here, like Mallorie said, if you're on vacation somewhere and you're not at home, and you've hired someone who's looking after your animals, and they don't have the commitment that you do to your yard, your farm, your animals, I mean, who knows how they're looking at. And I mean, that's a consideration to me that I think about that a lot. So
yeah, definitely. You know, what's funny is that, you know, most people go into homesteading at their, you know, when they're older, as like a second career, it's like a retirement plan, right? I was talking to Ben the other week, and I was saying, you know what, when our kids are going to be older, we're still going to be young, and we're going to have been homesteading pretty much our whole time together. We're going to probably retire from homesteading one day, you know? It's kind of funny to think about it that way. But like we are setting up our farm and everything to make sure that when we're older, it'll be easier. But I'm like, am I really going to do this all my life? You know?
Yeah.
It's so weird to think about it that way.
Yeah. Well, like, and Simo, I see his, hey, Simo, I haven't, you've never seen my face. You always see the logo, the farm logo on our comment chats. Simo's right. It's, like the frost line is 8 feet deep. So we go,
shit.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
we go down, we have to go down at least 10. And if it's under a road or where the ground travels or where you're driving over top of, you have to go at least 12.
Really?
Wow.
Holy, we're 6 feet.
Yeah, no, our frost line is pretty deep here. We're north. Like, I mean, we have 2 week stretches in January that's minus 40 consistently. Yeah.
When I was young and we used to live in Manitoba, and I tell you what, Montreal winters can get pretty cold and damp, but when you've been through a Manitoba winter, Montreal has not impressed me yet.
Well, what's your growing zone?
Oh gosh, Leslie. Sorry, I gotta consult my wife.
Yeah.
What's our growing zone here? 2, I think. Growing zone 2.
Okay, so I'm zone 3. So your growing season a little bit shorter than mine. That's crazy. Do you have a greenhouse?
No, actually no. Okay, so we've got like plans galore, and actually part of the reason why we're doing this homestead is to supply specialty meats for what we want to start as a slaughter and processing facility, like an abattoir, proper abattoir, with the ability to do these high end specialty cuts of meat as well as processed locally here, because I mean the supply chain, let's face it, has been funneled into 1 or 2 big slaughter facilities, and nobody, now we're seeing the problem of that with COVID. I mean, they run like little villages. Everybody gets COVID, then they shut down, and all of a sudden your meat supply is affected.
Yeah.
And I just want to jump in here because the words "your meat supply is affected" or "your food supply is affected" should terrify even the most urban of hipsters, like, because a stat I read at one point, I used to work in like a high-end organic grocery store, and there's only ever like 3 days of food in the stores in a town, right? The reason why there's always a shipment coming in is because nobody's stockpiling this stuff, and like I used to sort of joke that, are you kidding me? After 3 days of no kale in the stores, hipsters will be shooting each other in the streets.
The kale riots of 2021.
But and it's something that we don't tend to think about, because on a channel like mine, there's always a little bit of crossover between bushcraft and camping and stuff, and like survivalists and stuff. And a lot of the conversation turns into boomsticks, which we don't discuss on my channel. Not against them, just don't discuss them on my channel. But food supply, food stability, and when you grew up shit eating poor like I did, food security are very, very, very important. And you guys are making enough of your own food that I imagine the turn of the year can very, very badly affect things if it's just a really shitty year.
You mean like growing and stuff?
All kinds of stuff. Even like what Eric is talking about when it comes to access to abattoirs. Some provinces have so many rules and regs about you can grow the animals, but you can't kill them yourself or package or whatever that.
Like here, we can't kill the chickens to sell them because it's against the rules. We can do them for ourselves, but we can't sell them. Like in the States, they can pretty much do whatever they want and grow as many as they want. They're like really not regulated. But here it's crazy.
Right.
Like, Saskatchewan's the total opposite. Saskatchewan's total opposite. We have the ability to sell. It's called farm gate to plate.
Okay.
And we can slaughter on farm as long as we're selling to the end user. Okay. We cannot sell uninspected meat or poultry into stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, within outside, like if it's provincially inspected, we can sell to a provincial retailer. If it's going outside the provincial borders, then it has to be federally inspected, and that is like, my God, I think there is a better chance of solving fission than trying to like
Yeah, they're strict, very strict.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say I missed, Jess. You had that question up there from a guy that asked.
That's Russell. He was asking why your deer head wasn't on top of the tree. Russell's a troll. Ignore him.
Yeah, I just put it up because I've seen some of the questions happening here. It's like, okay,
Russell's
it's a real party atmosphere in here tonight.
That's good. That's good.
Russell,
That's good.
congratulations,
Actually,
by the way. I just want to say congratulations. He just hit 30,000 subscribers, so I just want to say
cool.
Congratulations.
Wait, who did?
Russell from Raspberry Rock.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, this animal here was the first animal I've ever taken, a big game animal with archery. It was my first archery animal, so that's why my wife's allowed it to stay in the house.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We've never had a trophy before, but we found really nice antlers in the beaver dam this year, but we don't have the trophy.
Yeah, it's you know what? Those are trophies too. Like I know guys that spend the entire winter, they're fanatic hunters. Yeah. They'll spend the entire winter doing shed hunting they'll train dogs to hunt for deer sheds.
I'll show you my antlers.
Yeah. So, the food supply thing, like that's the problem we're having right now is there's a bottleneck because there are so few small abattoirs and people are able to access them, like local growers. That there's a bottleneck right now. Like I can't get my animals to a slaughter facility until
can't really
next summer. Maybe
wow.
Wow. Oh, nice.
That's a nice one.
Definitely a whitetail.
We had the second one. We had the second one, but Ben he actually carved a pipe out of it. So.
Oh, cool.
Because I quit smoking 2 weeks ago.
I wasn't going to ask how that's going on camera because I figured
you look well. You look well composed, Mallorie, for only 2 weeks of
smoking. It's not too bad. But I'm definitely looking into growing my own tobacco. It sucks to say, but I don't want to be smoking the crap that I was smoking. But if I grow it by myself and have my own, then I wouldn't mind smoking that. So yeah. Anyways, I'm just putting it out there. I guess I miss smoking. I love smoking.
I had an old farmer that lived quite a bit south of me here that used to he'd grow his own tobacco in his house and he would smoke it in a pipe.
Yep. And when we want to have
mix it.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of stuff you can supplement it with, but as long as it's natural and like if you look at the I'm sorry, we're going way off topic here, but if you look at the Indians and the locals that started here, they never had dependencies on their tobacco. It's only ever since they've been commercialized and with all the goo in it that's happened. The addiction.
So traditionally here, anyway, I don't know about in Quebec with the First Nations there, but here, like First Nations people here typically only used it in ceremonies. Mm-hmm. So it was, and whenever I took part in a pipe ceremony, you always you never inhaled the tobacco, and it was mixed with some root and tobacco and other natural products, and so they'd always just take it in and exhale it without inhaling. And that was, I believe, and my native studies teacher is gonna kick my butt if he's watching. I doubt he's watching, but if he ever comes across it, it was to speak truth. Like there would be no lies between you. It was to expel any idea that you were going to be dishonest with each other. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I thought
it is.
Yeah.
So now that we've I'm dropping you guys back on the straight and narrow here. So we are in the colder half of the year now. I sort of have a general idea of what a day on a farm looks like when things are growing and need to be harvested, and there are animals walking around and eating and pooping and just waiting to be slaughtered. But I have this complete layman's view that the winter side of the year is probably very different, even if it's still a lot of work.
Pretending to the animals?
Just just your day-to-day life in winter versus summer.
Well, our winter here is time to log. So, I mean, it's less of the animals in the gardens and it's more of the forest and because we have a skidder and Ben has been working really, really hard to try to go get because we have our forest is falling to the ground. It's been so left on its own that if we don't cut it down, it'll just end up falling and rotting anyways. So might as well sell it and make money out of it, right? So he's been working really, really hard to try to get us some wood out so we can sell it because the wood is really good right now. So that's what our winter pretty much looks like. And he's going to try his very, very best to get the firewood done this winter for next year so that we can have the winter to relax more. And well, not relax, but I mean, to get the important stuff done, because the season is just so short that he spends the whole summer doing firewood if he has to do it in the summer, in the bugs and everything. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. So yeah.
Anywhere there's trees, the bugs are bad, especially up here. For us on our homestead, it's more your work is more focused on sustaining the animals that are in your paddocks and your corrals and stuff like that. We don't have, of course, I have 1,000 things going on in the periphery outside the homestead, but as far as the homestead is concerned, it's strictly the animals. Like this year in the summer was the first year that we did custom haying, and I took on a bunch of work, rented, you do a hay on shares. So I would do custom haying and then take, I think the going rate is the landowner gets a third, you get 2/3. So I was all over doing that by myself, and that was a big job because of course, me being me, I take on way too much, much stuff. Like you're like, oh, new project, let's go, like 120%, and then
there's always one in the couple. That's me.
yeah. I've got that same problem. Thank God my wife balances that out a little. Actually, she's just as bad, but in a different way. It's not as it's not as time consuming.
I feel you.
Yeah. So I mean, winter for me is a lot more focused. Summer is easier with animals because they're usually out on pasture unless you got pigs. You're feeding them year round. I try to pasture them a little bit if I can with electric fence, but they are like, you have to be on them all the time.
Yeah,
otherwise,
like change it like every couple days.
Yeah, because pigs are smarter than me on most days too. But yeah, that's focus narrows. The aperture closes as far as what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, but it's still pretty busy. And like Mallorie said, when you've got a logging operation, like we've got a provincial forest by us, and that's where we used a bandsaw mill. I think you used the Woodland Mills, right? Mallorie? Yeah, we use Norland?
I think so.
Yeah, Norland's the orange one. Anyway, it's a bandsaw mill my buddy had, and we went and cut saw logs for in February for an entire month, and I've got a stockpile of good solid spruce lumber that I use to build all of my corrals and everything else. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a shelter on top of it, or did you do it in the snow?
I did it in the snow. Actually, we hauled it. What we did was we hauled it from his place. His farm is his parents' farm is like 2 hours south of here. We hauled it here, and then we set it up in my yard, and we did it on like a collaboration. So he took half the wood, I took half of it. We used both of our machines. Like we both run tracked skid steers, and we just straight up farm logged. Nothing professional, nothing fancy like a skidder. That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be our first winter using it because last year our skidder was stuck in the shed. So
yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Cynthia does spinning wool.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
You're a real pal, Mallorie. Actually, now that there's a bit of a lull, I want to just bring up a couple of things. First, Raspberry Rock, I think, is taking the piss out of Mallorie here.
Oh yeah, okay.
But for all of that, so I haven't been putting them up. This is an interesting one. What's the worst part about making YouTube videos? Because I know it's probably just taking the piss, but man, there's a lot of stuff that is not great about making YouTube videos.
On the homestead is the cold. I think it's the cold.
Freeze your camera?
Yeah, because the battery life doesn't work too well. Everything just freezes up and jams up. So you have to try to make sure everything's warm. And then your fingers are cold, so you have a hard time pressing the buttons. If you have a touch screen, it won't even recognize your fingers. That's the hardest part for me. And yeah.
Mine is very similar. My problem is that I'm not very adept at editing or creating this visually appealing product at the end. Mine is just like run and gun kind of stuff, and I try to do it a little bit. Most of the editing is done on my phone, and the time consumption for me when I'm in a task and I know I should be filming this because people would be interested in it. I'm like, I'd swear right now, but I won't. It's like, screw it. I got to get it done. It's got to get done. I can't. So
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny, Eric, because look what Cynthia just said. Realizing that moment would have made a great content, but only after the fact. It's kind of related to, and I have that too. For me, I think one of the biggest things, first of all, yes, in the cold, having my camera out and just praying that it's actually recording while I'm looking at the lens instead of the screen.
Yeah.
But I find, because I don't homestead, I don't have that kind of massive drain on my time, but I do have a family and a wife who works very long hours. So fairly often, oh no, there goes Eric. Oh no, he's back. So fairly often, by the time I'm, the kids are in bed, I've lost the light outside.
Mm-hmm.
Or so like I have to shoot at the weekend and sort of negotiate. Look, honey, I know that there's all this stuff to do, but this and this I can do after dark. I need the light, so I'm going to do that now.
Yeah.
And man, I'm so tired by the time I get all the stuff done that sometimes it's just daunting to, okay, I've got a tripod somewhere. I put it down in the corner last time, and which corner did the baby take it?
I'm guilty of that today. I was looking for my tripod all day.
I don't have I started getting some of the accoutrements for doing this stuff, but I don't have. I keep getting. I thought I turned my do not disturb on, but I keep getting disturbed here.
The life of an elected official.
And that was actually the Deputy Reeve that was calling me.
Oh.
So he asked me, what does my day look like tomorrow afternoon? I'm like, oh no. Anyway, I had everything kind of gathered together, and I was going to start doing it, on a more augmented basis, but I haven't had the chance to sit down and learn how to edit without using a phone. If that makes sense.
I've said this to you before, and I say it to everyone who has that kind of problem, is that, I spent over 2 years filming only on my phone, editing using my editing suite, but shooting on my phone. And I watch so many videos by so many makers and other, makers and bushcrafters and YouTubers who use the most rudimentary of equipment and techniques, but their stories, like, I'm interested in the content, so I'll watch. The sound has to be good though.
Yeah.
The picture quality can be questionable, but if the sound is still good, like if I can hear what the guy's saying and it's not too shrill, it doesn't sound like he's coming through the back end of a Honda kind of thing, I'll meet them halfway. Because at the end of the day, creating stuff and putting it out there is hard. It's hard on your ego. Boom, someone does this, and you're like, why? You got like 10 thumbs up and one frowny thumb. You're like,
and you're crying in the shower.
What the hell happened there? and so if someone is working with what they got, I'm only going to leave positivity in the comments section.
Yeah. See, I did my full first year with my cell phone, and I didn't edit on my cell phone though, but I filmed everything on my cell phone. And so many people asked me like, hey, are you using a DSLR? Because I guess the way I was filming
worked,
looked good, I guess. But I just tried to optimize all the settings on my cell phone until I wasn't able to anymore. And then that's why I got my camera.
Thanks, Raspberry. That's great.
Hey, it's
That's perfect.
interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
something.
I also wanted to answer something that Hawaii asked, but I can't find it. He was sort of incredulous about baby stole your tripod. I have some tripods that are like smaller to put on the table when I'm doing something on the table or whatever, or it's just fast. Yeah, something around. In fact, mine are even smaller than that. Like even when I'm outside, I'll just
Have this.
plonk it onto a ridge or something. Actually, that second one looked pretty nice, Mallorie.
It is a awesome tripod. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I invested when I got my new camera. I invested, and
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I'm sick of my other tripod falling with the wind everywhere. So I like seriously, I could not take the chance to have my new camera fall over with the wind. So I got a really good one.
Yeah, I blew one of the clips on my main tripod. So this weekend I sort of gingerly put it there, and it was starting to. So I sort of jammed it back. But I'm gonna have to in the new year drop some coin on a new tripod. So maybe later drop me the info on that large review tripods, and I'll take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a K&F concept.
Okay.
Yeah, with the ball and everything. Love it.
Gotta have a ball head.
Yeah. Oh, another to answer on that question, the worst thing you hate about YouTube is another thing is that it's just so many hours unpaid until you start getting paid pennies. It's just a lot of hours worked, a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I know that maybe the end game would be getting rich from it, like the goal, the pie in the sky dream of getting rich off of YouTube, and you know being like the Wrangler star, which is coincidentally how Jesse and I met. Was
Yes,
his Wrangler star shout out? I don't know if you remember that, Jess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those pie in the sky goals are nice, but my goal is to inform people about the stuff that goes on or goes into something like this, like what we're doing. Mallorie, I don't know if you probably have the same feeling, but it's you get you're warning. I don't know if you're not warning, but you're informing people on the way of life that they may or may not be or may be interested in. If they want to come out and do this full time, then this is what it needs to happen, and you can kind of guide them through the pitfalls, the stuff that you never had. Or thanks to YouTube, I think we've both, or all three of us, have benefited from other creators on YouTube showing us the pitfalls of some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah,
you know, guide us through
yeah,
the dark forest, if you will.
I really try to be transparent. And Jean-Philippe, I'm drinking just an Abricot brandy sour. That's my drink these days. I feel it really like that's what I wanted. I've been drinking that for 2 weeks ever since I quit smoking. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Eric. And like, I try to be transparent and show the good and the bad, because I mean, there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad. So, and like we said in the beginning of the live, like there are so many people that just show the good side, and you know, people are selling the dream and just being like, oh, look how beautiful it is, but it is hard, and burnout is real, and it is a lot of work. And you know, so I'm really trying to show the good and the bad.
Like
even if people don't want to see the bad, I'm going to show it anyways.
Yeah, like I was going to do a short video today. Like I was literally at 2:30 this afternoon, our time. I was driving a tractor down a grid road, coming home from another site where I had bales stored, and slid off the road into the ditch, and I was stuck there for like an hour and a half.
Oh no!
So
Good thing you didn't slip.
Yeah, no, I slid off the road down the side, and luckily I've got some amazing friends and neighbors that brought their tractors over, but they're big industrial farmers, and I mean,
yeah, well,
they're
see that's
nearby.
So we had 2 tractor experiences this week that could have went really bad. Ben was going down. He was going to give a round bale to the horses, and we live on a hill on the top of a mountain, so to go bring the hay is going down. No brakes on the tractor whatsoever. So he lifted the e-brake, which eventually braked it. So there was something wrong with the pedal, and you know, that could, like, if I was in the tractor, I would have probably freaked out and been like, what? Like,
Was the bale? Do you have a front end loader on the tractor?
yeah, but the round bale was on it. Yeah.
So,
So
I've
I would have
always,
dropped it.
yeah,
I would have
exactly.
dropped
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
But like, still, I would have freaked out
Oh yeah.
because I would have been in the turning mode and I would have been like inches away from the ditch, you know? Oh my gosh. And then the other thing, we had a really big storm, a windstorm, and we have an old Ferguson tractor, like a 48 or something, you know, like a really, really old one. And it was on neutral. It wasn't on the brake. And it rolled down the hill with the wind. And Ben came out the next day. He's like, "Where's the tractor?"
Right.
And he looked in the woods. He's like, "Holy shit. It's down there." But he was able to bring it up on its own. But still, he's like, "Oh my gosh, like we got so lucky." Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it's funny story. Really quick side note. Jess, I know you're a big fan of Conrad Black, and his his family used to own Massey Ferguson. They used to own that tractor manufacturer.
Wow.
And I just found that out like in the 80s. They owned, like my family all ran Massey tractors, and I had no idea the connection, but I just thought I'd make a little jab there about your affinity for Conrad Black and all things Conrad Black.
I love the guy.
Mark put in the financials on homesteading. How does it balance out? I know that Eric, you sell meat, so I mean you probably have a little bit of profit on your farm.
Yeah.
We mostly have expenses. To be honest, we mostly have expenses because we have a lot of machinery, and the amount of stuff that we sell is more like wood, right? But we maybe have a little bit of profit for the expenses that we have, but not a lot. And so thankfully Ben is retired and we are able to live here full time because he's a veteran and he's paid by the Armed Forces of Canada, which is well deserved, by the way, because you know he went through a lot. But yeah, so I tried selling produce in the beginning and started a market garden and everything. And I think eventually down the road, what I'm going to do is, because it's just, since Ben's sort of retired, I am sort of as well, in a way. So I don't want to have deadlines more than I already have. So I just put that aside for now and was concentrating more on teaching people. So I taught people how to garden, and I started that way. And I think there's more of a potential in there than there is to actually market garden on my farm. So I don't know. Well, that's why I started YouTube too. So
that's, you know, like our financial plan was that we would eventually start a full scale meat production facility, and using, and not only incorporating our animals, but also incorporating animals from local producers that wanted to sell to the end user rather than it being you know, cut out of you know, selling their meat to wholesale prices to someone who's just making money off of their hard work. And my brother actually summed it up the other day too. He said, you know, farming is the only, what is it? You pay retail and you sell wholesale in farming.
Yikes.
You pay retail. Honestly, you pay retail for, like, especially if you're in the large industrial farming complex. That's the way it's working nowadays. The umbrella that's, you know, kind of come over farming. You know, the Monsantos, the BASF, the Bayer Crops Sciences, those guys. You're paying full retail price, and you're selling the product at wholesale price. So it's
buy high, sell low.
That's, you know, that seems to be my philosophy when it comes to most things lately. But
I'm curious, Eric, how much do you guys sell per pound meat chicken?
Oh gosh,
how does it go for over there?
We haven't sold for a couple of years. I want to say it was over $4 a pound.
Do you buy some? Yeah.
I haven't bought any. We haven't bought any meat birds in a while, just because we've got so much pork and wild game that we kind of just feast off of that. We haven't done. We do like chicken breasts once in a while, but we're going to the store and buying it. And it's like crazy, stupid price right now.
Now, I will say, of all the problems to have, Eric, that is the one I would love to have.
Is what's that?
You know, we've just got so much pork and like game.
Yeah. It's, and that's really, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because we had like a little mini disaster in our area here a few years back. We had a plow wind come through and destroy like kilometers of like high voltage power line in the area, and we were down without fuel. We couldn't get fuel for vehicles or equipment.
Wow.
We couldn't. All the freezers were down in the grocery stores. There was nothing here, and it was like a mini disaster. There was a run on generators, and a few of the local companies were gouging people for generators, and they never forgot it. And those companies are suffering. But
Yeah.
We had something similar here in 1998 when there was an ice storm that.
Yeah, like it kind of wakes you up a little bit, and now this pandemic thing as well, like self-sufficiency. I think Mallorie, I think you'll agree with me. Self-sustainable way of living.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that most of our product, our food comes from the farm. I would like to think that it does. My wife might disagree
a lot of it
sometimes.
Like I'd say about 70% of all the meat that we have here that we consume in a year is produced here. And then like on the vegetable side, we're like at about a 60% ish, because I usually like in the racks in back, I would probably already have like stuff started to have salads and stuff during the wintertime, but I was, like I said, completely burnt out. So I just like, you know what? No, I'm not doing anything right now. So I'm just resting. I'm taking my winter to relax. And for now, there's no shortages in the stores right now. And I do have plenty of seeds if ever. So, I mean, but yeah, I'm taking it easy right now.
Yeah. I saw, sorry, something, I can't remember. I was going to say it was, it had to do with meat stock. Anyway, carry on, Jeff. Sorry, something flew into my brain and then flew out immediately.
Right. Mallorie, it's funny that you talk about burning out and stuff, because burning out is something that a lot of YouTubers deal with. And I pick up on how many people's videos are like why we stopped homesteading. Is that burnout is something that a lot of farmers and homesteaders seem to deal with as well. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I'm not going to ask you to TMI us or anything, but do you feel that it was a combination of the two that caused you to burn out a bit, or was it one thing or the other?
Well, definitely YouTube adds on for sure, because I do my YouTubing at night when the kids are sleeping. So
I do as well. My life starts at 9 p.m.
Yeah. So of course, like the YouTube does not help at all for that. But, and especially like, I put maybe like 7 to 8 hours sometimes in a video of like 10 to 15 minutes, Yeah. So it's a lot of work, and I do try to do it in the day when the girls aren't there, but then I have work to do on the farm as well. And then when I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, do I film it? So it sort of backs up. And so, yeah, like I definitely there's not enough hours in a day. So I have to learn how to put my camera down and say, okay, I'm just not going to film this. There's plenty of stuff to film anyways. I got 45 years of content here. Like, I don't even have to stress about it, So I just need to learn how to because I do have a huge list of ideas.
Yeah.
See, that's something I'm not very good at, is writing stuff down. My wife tells me I should start making lists, but I tend to just think about, contemplate. And Jess, I think you're kind of like me in this way. You contemplate how many things you have to do, and then start getting major anxiety for how much stuff you have to get done.
Yeah.
I'm in that boat all the time. That's for me the same thing. I think that once you, I watch a few guys, and they're just regular farmers that they're fully ensconced in the agricultural industrial complex in this province. They when they do their YouTube videos, it's formulaic. I think once you have the formula established and know how to do it, and like boom boom boom, I'm not even close to being there. I don't know if you feel you're getting there, Mallorie, or do you feel like you've got a system down, and when you're producing videos, like bang bang boom bang, and you're done?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, because when I do have the idea first and the thumbnail in my head and everything, then it's fine. and like I produce my video and I know what I'm filming and everything. But if I'm just like going outside and saying, okay, I'm going to film my day and I'm going to like document this, then it's like I get lost in my footage. And then when it comes time to edit, it's so far away. And then I have like 3 days that I have to mash up together. And so that's just like, I'm trying to stop doing that. And just focus on one video at a time now, because it's just more viable for me on the long run. Because man,
and overwhelming too, I imagine. Like,
yeah, it is. Because I mean, it does make really awesome video when I do that. Because like on my potato harvest, I did like from the seed to the harvest and everything, and it was all, you know, put together in one video, 20 something minutes, and it is an awesome video. But it took me forever to make, and it came out way late, you know.
yeah.
So, and then the views aren't that good. So I'm like, was it worth it? Like, like Russell says, you can only hope that it'll pay for in the long run, all this hard work. And I really do try to produce good content. Like I don't want to like just go out there and put anything on the net, you know. I want to make sure that if people go click on one video, they want to go watch more. And if they go watch more, they realize, okay, it's as good as the other one, you know? So that's for me, that's my goal, is to make stuff better than the last, and, you know, to make people want to come back. And so it's a lot of work. So I just hope that it'll pay off in the end. And I know it will. It's in my vision board.
Well, part of the mantra, like Jesse and I were joking around about you know, repeating mantras into the bathroom mirror every morning the other day. But Jess, how do you feel about you know, you're becoming the interviewee, sorry, on this? But are you at the point where it's formulaic for you to put a video together? Like you've got a system set up?
I have a system set up, but it's not by rote. You know, like when I'm editing, there are certain things, like I always start with the same spiel. Hey there, friendlies, how's up? Welcome to another episode of Rain Dance Bushcraft. And then I do some stuff, and then at the end, you know, that's all she wrote. As I always say, if you like what I'm doing, comment down below, share the video, leave me a smiley thumb. If you don't like what I'm doing, I don't care. You're a jerk, but just leave me a frowny thumb. And everything in between, when I remember to shoot some B-roll, I'll drop it. Like I pay for a music service, so I'll drop in a song and do a little cut to make things nice. And I don't even know if people watch the B-roll, but you know, and then I'll try to sort of get to the point. And as I'm editing, I'll chop out as much of the useless blither as I can. Like I probably shoot 6 or 7 to 1, right? So like 6 or 7 minutes of footage for every one that ends up on screen. Which, by the way, if you went through film school, 6 to 1 is a pretty good ratio. Because old school film guys, they'll hit 10 to 1 or more, like without even trying. You know,
you get those masterclass. You ever get those masterclass things on Facebook, like those masterclass advertisements for? You ever watch the one with Werner Herzog?
Well, I've seen the ad with Werner Herzog.
Yeah, yeah. Did you watch it? Just it reminds me of something he said in there. He said students will come up to me and they'll say that I've got 140 hours of shooting in the can. And he said his heart just breaks because they've wasted that much time on garbage, and not gone for not just whittled it down to the moments that mattered.
Yeah.
Instead, they tried to capture absolutely everything.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, yeah.
But also bear in mind, and there's a massive difference that we haven't mentioned here, and because this is YouTubers are non-unanimous about this, okay? But I do not script. Some script, man, you will find info all over the place that if you want to be a successful YouTuber, you got to script. I don't script.
Yeah.
And so I end up shooting so much stuff that when I'm editing, I'm like, oh,
I should have
this
scripted.
is stupid, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not going to script because I started my channel to be as genuine as possible, right? So very often I'll leave mistakes in, like if I'm trying to chop something and I totally miss, that stays in. I guarantee myself that if I make a mistake, that goes in, no matter what else I chop.
And I like that you do a little asterisk with the sorry I meant, or like that was supposed to be.
Yeah, because it's part of calling myself out. I don't want
Genuine.
to pass off a mistake as, because here's one of my pet peeves, and Mallory has heard me whinge about this, and a lot of the people in the side chat have, but I don't know if you have, Eric, but I hate the fact that, I'm going to start that sentence again. I have said on camera, look, guys, I'm not an expert very often. And a lot of other YouTubers do that. Say, I'm not an expert, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to say that if the people who are watching only ever see you knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Because they will know, even if you say, by the way, I'm not an expert, don't do this at home, they're going to do this at home. Because we're all de facto teachers, and that bugs me because I don't want to be a teacher unless I'm doing a video specifically about how to carve a spoon or use a knife, right? And so it's part of the flavor of my channel, I guess, that the mistakes stay in. I pop up an asterisk and say, that was wrong, this is what I should have said. I leave that stuff in. It's a promise to myself, and I sort of see it as my social contract with the viewer.
Yeah. And I personally love when people do that and to be like, you know, okay, like you're human. You're only human. You're not a robot, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about YouTube is that we are just people.
Yeah.
We're just people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Warts and all. Like everything's out there for everybody to see. We've there, Jess, I get your point, because you know, you start scripting and then it becomes apparent and it be, you know, you start crossing over that line into what is contrived and what isn't, you know, like Discovery Channel reality show.
Yeah.
Like, is that what you're trying to produce, or is it, is this a genuine person conveying genuine knowledge to whoever wants to absorb it?
I do script sometimes though. Yeah. I do script sometimes when I do voiceover.
Now that's voiceover, yeah. But like when people script themselves, and like there are people who are trained to do this and there are people who are not, and the people who are trained to do this, very often you will not see their eyes move across the script.
Yeah.
Right, because they've been trained to just sort of, I guess, use their peripheral vision or whatever, so that they're not like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to script my stuff, even when I'm doing a voiceover. Like, I know what I want to say. I have an idea in my head of where I sort of want to end up, and hope to hell I don't end up off in the rushes halfway there, kind of thing, you know.
I'm really lucky because I type really fast, so I will literally watch my video and I will say it and I'll type it at the same time. You know, so it comes out like I said it. I just say it again without the pauses, you know.
Yeah.
I'm really good at saying it exactly the same way as I said it the first time. I guess I'm good at that. So
I've one thing, something that helps me though, if I script myself slightly, like I would probably lean towards Mallorie's method of, you know, doing voiceover, only because, and it's given me complex, I would call it, when I was still with the mounted police. I did a transcript of an interview I did for a court case. And so when they do that, the transcriptionist is required to put every vocalization in the transcript. And that is soul destroying to read afterwards. And you're like, God, am I like, do I have a disability? Like, why am I talking like this? Like, seriously, it's no joke. Like, it literally, like, I need to go to back to school. I don't know how to speak English.
I hear you when I hear myself in my videos and I hear myself say so, and I always say so. Okay, so I get on my own nerves. So I'm like, how am I supposed to have people watch me if I myself get on my own nerves? Like,
well, yeah,
I can't stand myself. So I sometimes I do retake something because I said or so, or I cut it out, and they'll like cut it out really fast. And so you're like,
you don't notice the cut.
Yeah. I reshoot and reshoot constantly because I'm not scripted. I'll say something and then sort of end off like What was I saying?
Jess,
Okay, I'm gonna do that
I will
again.
say this about you, is you are really hard on yourself. I will say that you are definitely hard on yourself when it comes to that stuff. You'll be like, nope, that's not right. I got to redo it. I can
Yeah.
totally picture this.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
I see Mallorie laughing, so I know she agrees with me. You're way too hard on yourself sometimes.
Oh, I'm hard on myself too, man.
Yeah.
I have footage of myself, okay, which will never see the
It's
the light
cringy.
of day, of me talking and like going off, seeing it in my face, and then like saying like, fuck a pound cake. What was I trying to say? Oh, I just swore. Oh, well, demonetized.
Yeah.
Like, or like being like, because it was like the sixth take.
That's
Yeah. Have a big dog interrupt you in your shoots too. That man, like sometimes.
you know what it adds? Sometimes it adds to it though. Like the carrot
Yeah.
video, the carrot. When you're doing your carrot harvest, that
Yeah,
was perfect. She came in and stole the carrot. That was.
Man,
You can't script that.
I didn't know you were following me for like watching my videos. That's cool.
Well, now you make me sound like a creep, but
Well, I literally just found out you had a channel today. Like I asked Jesse, I said, hey, does he have a channel? He's like, yeah, but he doesn't film much. So I didn't really go check. And I had no idea how to write Jägerheim Farm. Jägerheim. So like I had no idea where you were hiding. So I got you now.
yeah. It's not easy to find. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. I appreciate the sub, by the way. But yeah, I when we were developing the name for our farm, we didn't exactly do it for the commercial aspect.
Commercial name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was more just to name the farm, and then maybe give the product from the farm a more European, what would you call it? More
A little cachet.
Little posh feel,
Cachet.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt and say there's 25 people watching? Amazing, but there's 19 thumbs up.
What? Come on, folks.
Hit that thumbs up, guys. I'm still a moderator on your channel, Jesse.
Yeah. If you don't like it, that's okay. I don't care. If you're a jerk, just hit the thumbs up.
But thank you guys so much
we'll talk about you off stream.
Yeah, thank you guys for the people that came from my channel, from my live stream. That's awesome that you guys came out here.
Yeah, you got a good group over there.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody who's watching. I don't have, like I said, I don't have a lot of sweat equity invested in YouTube yet, but it's nice to see that, I have friends, more friends now with I always hesitate because I know that in the French language, if I shorten your name, it means something completely different.
No, in French, people call me Malo.
Yeah.
You guys are going to see in my next video. You guys are going to meet her in my next video. It's going to be pretty funny.
Yeah, Eric. The way they shorten in French is different than the way they shorten in English. They don't shorten to the consonant, which is why, like in English, I have a base amp, but in French, I was about to say mais en français, I have an ampli.
Yeah.
Ampli. Okay, so it's always to the vowel.
It's always to the vowel, almost always, unless it's a real sort of loan from English. Yeah,
I think it's funny when English people call me Malo. I think it's funny. It's like weird in my ears, or when they write it, it's like, hey
Mallow, how's it going, Mallow?
Yeah, the anglicization of a French word is it's gutting to the ear, I think.
Yeah.
So like out here, speaking of French language, like I took 5 years of immersion program in French, and so I have passable French. When we talk about my friends that are west of here that we got all our animals from, they have a program called woofing, willing workers on organic farms. You guys ever heard of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get woofers in all the time, and that's
probably full of Quebecers.
No, actually, it's Europeans.
French. Yeah, full of French people.
Oh, French, Germans, Belgians.
Yeah.
Sorry, is it Belgian? Yeah, Belgians, not Belgians. Belgians is the horse. Belgians is the people. Yeah, right. I gotta remember that because I got in trouble for that one time.
Uh-oh.
So there's a girl from Lyon. She was. I was conversing with her in French, and she's like, I said, so I asked her if she had a French accent. She said, you have a Quebec accent. the French is it's funny how linguistically the patterns for the same language have diverged just because of their isolation.
Well, it's like
funny how that
England,
works.
English and English from the States. You know, it's the same thing. It's just in another language. It's the slang. I tell all my American friends, I'm like, I'm the hillbilly redneck sort of accent to the French, you know?
Yeah,
That's
that's what
how
they.
I explain it, because I'm totally redneck compared to like the French. But yeah, you guys are gonna hear my accent in my next video.
In my day job, which I will not go any further into online, one of the teams I work with is based in Orléans in France, which means two things. First of all, meeting times.
Wait, you're not a pole dancer?
Now, why you got to be like that? Why you got to be like that?
I was like, you're rocking my world here, Jess. I had no idea.
I can see on the Globe and Mail tomorrow. Elected official calls, small time YouTuber a pole dancer.
Yeah,
Are you
right.
cold,
There's,
Jesse? Are you cold?
I'm not feeling well. I I had something at lunch that really stopped me, and I've been under the weather ever since.
Oh no!
Yeah,
you guys
it's funny.
like
Yeah,
my brother-in-law recently passed the 50 threshold, and he's like, oh, my shoulders are cold all the time. He tells us this all the time. So
I'm not 50 yet.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going, but
Sorry, I totally
let's
interrupted you.
try to get back on track here.
Sorry. Oh, you were talking about woofers. Sorry, Jesse. Can I interrupt you?
Well, you've done it now.
On our homesteads, there's a lot of woofers, and like he was saying, and there's also workaways. Workaways are another good one, and that's one thing that I hope COVID's going to be nice with us next year. I really hope. Hey, we're supposed to get vaccines on Monday, huh, Jesse?
Well, we won't, but yeah, they're starting.
They're starting on Monday. That's crazy. Anyways, so there, I want to get a trailer on my property to have woofers or workaways next year to help me build my greenhouse and stuff. I think that would be awesome. And like, if they want to learn how to grow food and stuff, they could be here. Anyways, I've been wanting workaways for years, and I think this winter I'm saving up to buy a trailer.
And for those that are uninitiated or don't know what woofers are, they're essentially people that come over from other countries, other provinces, and come to your farm and they work. It's like a working vacation. They come and work on your farm. Yeah, and you exchange food and lodging for labor.
Yeah,
and so they, I mean, it's worked out in some degree from our friends, like I said, west of us. I mean, they've had some bad ones.
Yeah,
but typically they're from Canada. The bad ones they've had.
Now, does this last the whole season, or is it like a few weeks per?
Whatever you come to an agreement with the farmer. If the farmer says, yeah, you can stay for like 6 months, have at it.
Some people stay for 2 weeks. Some people stay for a few months. It depends on their vacation time too. Yeah,
I get it.
And most of them are students when they come. Like they actually had a couple from France. From Burgundy, actually, that had to stay during the COVID thing because they couldn't get home. They stayed for an extra 3 months. Most of the time, they try to stick to, like, if they don't know the person or they don't have recommendations, because you can get referrals for people that say, yeah, these guys are good. You can bring them on your farm. You won't have any problems. You can, depending on that, you set your time parameters. But most of the time, they try 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If they don't have anything, and like I said, up to like 6 months, and people come back, like repeat come back all the time.
Because I've been getting emails since last year from subscribers, from people from France, from people all over saying, I want to come to your farm. I want to come help you. And it's not even like they just literally want to come help me. And I'm like, wow, that's like awesome. But I sort of need recommendations, so because I can't just have anybody here.
Yeah, and it's not just about them either. I mean, if like there's some shady operators out there that are running farms and homesteads that are just looking to have like indentured servitude for a period of time to be able to like swabbing out porta potties in exchange for food and lodging you're probably not going to get a lot of high recommendations from anybody from that.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah.
That's interesting though. Woofing is something that's completely. We were actually thinking about turning some of our old grain bins into lodgings.
Really?
Like I don't know if you ever get a chance, go on Facebook. There's a whole. Oh, I can't remember. There's a place in southern Saskatchewan that has converted grain bins into like lodgings, and you can have like an overnight stay. It's like a hotel, like a motel. You can
Metal
go and check it out.
Wow.
What's that? Yeah, the metal grain bins, granaries. Yeah, in Saskatchewan. I don't know if you Google it. I gotta consult my.
Oh yeah, I see it. I see a whole
You
bunch
see
of
it there?
them on YouTube. Yeah. There's
Yeah,
big.
yeah. There's huge ones. Like it's beautiful. Some of the stuff they do with it, like they convert some of them into outdoor kitchens, bars. Like
They must reinforce them so because when they're empty, they're really not structural.
technically they are, but if you start cutting holes in them, that's when they lose their structure. So they do a lot of internal framework with like metal and welding and making. But it's really cool
That is
we
cool.
well, we thought of doing it for woofers if we ever got to the point where we wanted to have someone come and stay on our farm. We have some grain bins that aren't being used. So
I want to have a bushcraft village.
yeah,
I support you in this.
Yeah, I want to have a bushcraft village and like have like this little like a whole bunch of little shacks and like a central fire pit where like you can have like a little tiny community. I think that would be so cool.
that would just you got to vote with your interest. That's
Yeah.
Gotta vote with your interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have like a little place where I can go with my horses, have like a little man, I would just go crazy. I would just love to have that. Like have like different you can have like a little rock house, you can have an A-frame one, you can have like one that's like more like built with like wood from my mill or whatever, just like different styles. I would really love that.
Mallorie is secretly looking to set up a community so that when the world ends, she has people around to act as a buffer between her and the hordes of zombies outside.
Hey, Colin.
it's smart.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry guys,
Hey, Colin's here.
I don't have my laptop open right now to see the comments or scroll through the comments. I'm just using my phone strictly. So
Well, I really love camping and the bushcraft and everything, and that's why I'm like so like with the bushcraft people on YouTube, because I just sort of like I really love this what they're doing, and I love learning from them. So yeah,
that's actually how. Well, again, Jess, of course, I follow your channel because of the knowledge you impart as far as outdoor survival and the tricks and stuff that you've kind of imparted through your channel to me.
Yeah.
But actually, I sent Jess a couple of axes. Our family owns an auction house, and I come across some pretty interesting axes now that everybody's onto them. Though I'm like, I can't compete with their pricing. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like these old, like
it's a different world.
And I want to compliment you too on here publicly. Do a shout out that you did a phenomenal job on that axe that you did to giveaway that you gave away to your friend, a German axe, a West German axe. Yeah,
yeah, it's a nice axe, and he's thrilled with it, and he still uses it, and that was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoy doing a project more when I have someone to give the thing to as my end game. I feel warmer towards the project when I,
yeah, that's cool. Oh, I have Cynthia. She says, look into building a cordwood building. I actually looked into those, but like, man, we have 16 cords of wood to do already for our house only, and then we need how many cords to heat up the garage? So it's just like I don't know if I would end up ever having enough firewood on hand and like deciding to sacrifice it into a building. Because it's just so much work. It would just be so much easier to get a log and just build a log house than to do a cordwood building here. It's just because it'd just be so sad to like sacrifice that in a building and not burn it for the work it is. But it's an awesome idea.
I would love to build a log cabin myself. By the way, does anyone here, have you guys been up on the latest news of Sean James? Why he's actually My Self-Reliance? Why he's moving?
Yeah. Russell
Sounds-
actually made a video on that.
It sounds terrible. Russell made a video on that.
Yeah.
Somebody drop a URL in the side chat. I'll want to watch that because man, that sounds nightmarish. It sounds crappy.
That's had some issues with his property or his house, or
Well, there's a couple. I'm just going to give a
About-
very, very sort of, high end,
10,000 foot.
a high level description. There's a couple of things happening. First, there's some development happening, and the reason he built his little compound or homestead or whatever was to get away from that. And second, he's had long running problems with a neighbor, and they've gotten a little creepy and stuff. So
That gosh, I tell you, as a local municipal elected official, that is probably the biggest thing that we deal with on a constant basis. And that's another thing, another word of warning to anybody that's looking to do a homestead. Know your neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Know who you're building beside. Know who you're going to be living beside. If you like, for instance, when we were going to do the abattoir on our home piece here, we had a neighbor who actually had, before we bought the property, they had subdivided off of the property from the previous owner and had built a home. And the RM, before I was elected, this is long before I had any aspirations of becoming the Reeve. We approached the RM and with our proposal, and of course you have to get approvals from your planning officer and all that stuff. And there's a community consultation that has to happen with anybody who's in the area. And it was the person that was on our shared our home piece here, who had the subdivided parcel of land off of ours, that were like throwing everything at us, wanting us not to do it. And they ended up moving away because of it.
Yeah.
And we hadn't done anything yet. Like we haven't put a shovel in the ground to build it yet. But once we got the approval, they had their house up for sale and they were gone.
wow.
I had built a homestead before coming here from A to Z. Like we spent 6 months in a trailer, no electricity, no running water. And we built our homestead with a generator, the house and the farm and everything, and lived there for 3 years and moved away because the neighborhood was so crappy.
Oh gosh.
And we had just finished building it. And it wasn't big enough either. We had like 5.5 acres, and it just wasn't big enough for us. Ben had just gotten his liberation, and so we were like, you know what, we just need something bigger and excluded. So like we're really by ourselves here, but we have really good neighbors like down, like we don't see them from the house, but they're just amazing people, and we hit the lottery, so very lucky.
I just wanted to point out that Grace said
And
she
that's-
found the Lousy Neighbors YouTube channel. I didn't know they had a YouTube channel. So I'm afraid to ask.
Oh my gosh, Grace, send it
I
to
don't know
me.
what the content. I don't know what the content would be about.
Send it to me in private message, Grace.
Yeah.
Hopefully the content's not about their lousy neighbor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know, right?
You know,
I find that people, you know what, like, again, I'm not trying to be, self-centered, but running for public office is probably one of the most humbling and anxiety-inducing things you could ever do, because you are under the microscope and people have an opinion about you that before they've even met you.
yeah.
And I'm sure that people have that. The same thing happens to people on YouTube, or if you're a social media influencer, or you're a personality of any kind on any type of platform, that people would seek to throw rocks at you. And I find in Canada especially, we have this attitude like, now that guy's getting too big for his britches, or that girl's getting too big for her britches.
Got to take her down a notch.
We gotta take them down a peg because they're getting way too big. And
They're not very
we're in the
supportive.
state.
No.
They get
No.
jealous. I think there's a lot of jealousy and lots of
I
like
think they just want to, like, you should be small. You should be small like us. Don't get big. And then US, they do a lot more. I
Yeah.
find they celebrate exceptionalism a lot more than Canada does. We could, like, Shane Smith. I don't know if you've seen him on Vice News. He did an interview one time, and I was listening to it. And he said we cut our tallest trees down here
Yeah,
in
we
the
do.
States,
very much do.
they tend to celebrate them. So it's kind of disheartening sometimes to have to go through that. But I think that in the end, I think it's worth it still. I think it's worth it still to do it.
Of course, you got to stick to your principles. You know, at the end of the day, you got to stick to your principles. I think that's, you know, and you got to be yourself, and I think it is worth it for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we said, warts and all. Take me or leave me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
And it takes a little bit of it took me a long time to accept that though.
Yeah.
So I'm the kind of person that frets over people's opinions, and it took me a long time to extricate that from my personality.
Yeah.
And it still rears up once in a while, but yeah. I'm revealing a lot here. Like what's going on? You guys are disarming.
It's because we're all very supportive people here, Eric.
That's right.
Do you guys think we should open up the floor and let some people in? Because we're at like 10:35. So if anyone, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm going to drop
cool.
an invite into the side chat, folks. So if you guys have questions about homesteading, or you're homesteaders and have some experiences to share, and it's not overly political or gunny, then for land's sakes, get in there.
All right.
But is there anything about, like, you guys think that I should have asked you about in terms of homesteading? Because, like, we sort of went over the things that I was interested to know about, right? Give me the lay of the land of your homesteads. How does it change as the seasons change? How, you know, stuff like that. But, like, if there was something that you really want people who are thinking of getting into this to know, what would it be?
Don't do it.
I think we laid it out. Sorry, Mallorie, I didn't mean to step over you there. I was gonna say we kind of took over your channel there took over your live stream and started talking about it, I think.
But, like, distill it down to like one sort of like a boom. This is what you got to know.
Don't do it for the money.
Good point.
Yeah.
Don't do it for the money. Do it because you love it and you really want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine would be going to it with your eyes open. Don't look through rose-colored glasses. Expect that it's going to be a lot more hard work than what it appears to be on the romanticized rose-colored glasses that people have on YouTube platforms like YouTube.
Well, and I was about to say, isn't that a universal truth? Because I would say the same thing about starting a YouTube channel. You know, I mean, my channel is the poster child for this, right? I started in 2013. And I'm just scraping the bottom of 2,500 subs. Now, for years, that was my own bloody fault because I wasn't doing it right. But as I've said time and time again, I threw a lot of money at the channel. I decided I'm going to do it this year, and I threw a lot of money at the channel, new camera and everything, just in time for YouTube to demonetize everyone who didn't have the 4,000 hours. And so, and because I had been scraping like 3,800, 37, 36, 37, 38 for a couple of years, that didn't mean anything. And the fact that I hadn't caused any, controversies didn't mean anything. And so it just felt, because my philosophy has always been, man, this is so off topic, but I'll keep it real short. My philosophy has always been that even if I'm not monetized, YouTube and I are in a partnership because I'm bringing eyes to the channel. And those eyes, like when someone opens up a YouTube video, they don't click away immediately. They don't. They always fall down at least a small rabbit hole and watch a few more videos. And that's good for YouTube.
Yeah.
And so when they sort of suddenly move the goalposts on us, I get so salty about it because I'm like, you guys are breaking the social contract that we have. You guys are breaking the silent agreement. And it has taken me up until, I don't know, Mallorie, how long ago did I get remonetized? It was right after you, right?
Like a few months?
Like a few months ago, maybe 2 months, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I got remonetized. And it has taken me since the beginning of the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, was it? When they moved the goalpost that time? I don't quite remember, but, and it's because I have spent all that time almost being at 4,000 hours.
Yeah, it takes a
You
while.
know?
Takes a
So
while.
if someone is looking to start YouTubing, don't do it unless you're okay with heartbreak on occasion.
Took me a year and a half to get monetized from 0 videos to 100, and I think it took me 110 videos to
Hmm.
get monetized, and that was like in a year, or a year and a
Wow.
half. Yeah. So yeah, I posted a lot of videos. Hey, Alfredo. Hi. He's from Chile, I think.
A long, long time ago, I had a fiance from
But-
Chile.
Yeah. He found me because he searched in YouTube. He searched Quebec Homestead.
Really
Yeah, I was like, wow.
amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. But yeah, also another thing about YouTube, I was gonna say about homesteading is if you're gonna start a homestead, do not buy animals if you do not have the installations. Don't go
Well,
and buy 30 chickens and
Infrastructure, yeah.
4 goats. Make sure they have a proper shelter, proper fence, water before you buy them. Don't buy them because if seriously, I've done this and I'm guilty of doing it. Bought my horses. Okay, Ben, we're going to get the horses. We're going to get them at this date. Was not ready. Had to rush and dig into the frozen ground to get fence posts in there in time. Oh my gosh,
in the
guys.
frozen ground.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Wow.
Don't do it. Make sure you have the
Yeah.
proper infrastructure.
Make sure you, yeah, I've done it too. Like the day or 2 days before, you're building paddocks, trying to make accommodations for animals.
I think we had a FaceTime or two during that phase, Mister. A couple of years ago, you're putting in
yeah.
electric fencing or something. I don't quite remember, but and you were like,
oh God.
"Hi,
Don't remind me,
Jess."
please. Oh, my head hurts. My back. Oh, my back hurts right now just talking about it.
Yeah.
Anybody coming on?
Yeah.
You want to come up and ask us questions? He sent the link in there, guys.
Yeah, I'll drop it again. It's because everybody's suddenly shy.
Yeah. Quiet.
Hey, wouldn't it be funny if I was dropping the wrong link? No, that's the right link.
Yeah, Cecilia says, I've done that so many times. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I think we all are. Like, we've all done it. But man, like, when like Ben has a really bad back, and then I have the kids. So usually he's the one that has to work because I'm taking care of the kids. So if I'm the one saying, okay, we're getting an animal, then it puts more work on my man who's hurting. Then, it's not too good. So I try not to do it too often.
Okay. I mean,
you were talking.
I
know what I was going to mention. Horses.
Yeah.
Horses. I've got a 4-year-old that is horse crazy, and girls and horses are supposed to be like gasoline and fire. Like once they want one, tell me, Mallorie, did you grow up with horses?
I grew up with horses okay, my dad was a horse fanatic, so I grew up with the passion.
Mm-hmm.
But like I didn't get my first horse till I was like, I think I was like 9-ish or something. He had got me a 3-year-old colt and I sort of learned with it. But if I could suggest anything, go get her some courses. Go get her some good get her some classes, because it's a lot less work and less expensive than having the horses at home. Trust me.
Right.
Mallorie,
get them to learn first.
Cliff is asking if I really want him on screen again. What do you think? I said behave, but
Cliff is my buddy.
It's never boring, man. It's never boring when Cliff's on screen.
I know. Like, you ask him if he has anything and he has it in his room. It's like, wow.
Yeah, that was weird. We were talking about flashlights and say, yeah, I got these 150. Click, click, click.
I know. I know. And he's very knowledgeable.
I was going to ask you too. Like we've, I have an interest in them as well, though. Like I grew up, my family farm, my mom's side of the family, they always had horses. We always go horseback riding.
Yeah.
Like I'm not what you'd call a small flower. Like, so I've my neighbor raises purebred gypsy vanners,
Mm-hmm.
and they're absolutely gorgeous.
So
And
expensive
he's
though.
cross. I know, but the feathering is just gorgeous, and I need something that's about 15, 16 hands high.
Yeah.
So I'm 6'4", and if I have to ride on a horse, and I'm not what you call light either, so
Yeah, you need
it pretty much
a bon gabarit, like they'd say. A
like
good,
like
yeah, good size horse.
draft draft crosses is what
Yeah,
I'm
like
looking at.
a quarter horse Belgium cross, sort of. I love those crosses for
The warm blood makes me a little nervous.
warm blood.
Like the quarter horse, like, because they're warm blooded, right?
Oh no, they're not. It's
No,
not too bad. And I've never had. You can have a quarter horse that's like way hot, right? But it goes. You can have any horse that's way hot. But you just like when you're going to see this horse, make sure that it's not on sedatives when you ride it first. But you like
yeah,
make sure that you test out the horse first and go take a ride with it first. And or ask the owner, say, hey, show me what this horse can do. Have the owner ride the horse first, and then you hop on it after. So it gives you like a little bit more security.
I think the first question you have to ask is
Right.
how much money am I going to buy this? How much money am I have to spend on hay to buy that for this horse?
Well, he's got cows. He knows
Yeah.
a little bit. I mean, cows probably eat a little bit less than horses.
and different hay too. Like
Yeah.
a lot more cattle
Dry.
feed has a lot more alfalfa in it.
Yeah.
Grass is the primary ingredient in horse hay. I sell quite a bit of horse hay here.
Yeah.
And so it's that the feed issue is not what I'm concerned about. It's the training. Like, if I buy,
Yeah.
and I'm not experienced in horses,
Get a
and
good old horse.
yeah,
Get,
that's
like,
what I've been hearing from everybody.
I have started with younger horses, but there's there's a risk. You can have an older horse. Like, I have two horses that are older. I have one that's 18 years old, and I have one that's like 16-ish or something, or one that's 19 and one that's 17. My 18-year-old horse, it was an old race horse, but he is just so sweet and so docile and sort of lazy. But my quarter horse,
This is sounding a lot like me.
my quarter horse
Same
Arabian,
here.
he's like a really good horse for like intermediate riders. So my daughters, if I want to teach them how to ride one day, which I do not now because it's just too crazy. My kids are like they don't listen enough to be able to like hop on a horse and say, okay, let's ride. But I would hop them on my older horse for sure.
It's a hilarious line from the Sherlock Holmes Game of Thrones about horses. You remember, guys? Remember that one?
No.
No.
I really don't want something with a mind of its own bobbing up and down between my knees.
Oh.
Fair enough.
It's not like a four-wheeler. They do scare easily. They do like they'll see a partridge fly off and they'll be like, ah. And
my dad's experience with a horse was when he was a kid, a horse stepped on his foot, and that was it. With horses.
See, in my family were all like they broke this land. They came from Europe and we're farming here with threshing machines, and like my dad still talks about their draft horses, and they would drag logs out of the bush with draft horse and do everything with draft horse, and my mom's oldest brother, who passed away sadly a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, he hated horses. He did not want to have a horse on the farm because it was his job to look after the horses when they were thrashing. And for those who don't know, thrashing is before the modern combine harvester that you see on the farms now. These were like stationary things, and you brought sheaves of grain of stalks of the crop in, and they would thrash it on site on a single site.
What's tradition
And
here?
some of those were driven by horses.
On the Big Island, we have like wild donkeys, and they used to be used to haul coffee down from the mountains to the boats as pack animals. But I've gone just driving from Volcano to Kona. You can see wild donkeys at the side of the road that as soon as they see a car, they'll run back into the forest or the jungle. But there's like wild, young donkeys that just they call them nightingales or whatever. But
yeah.
So if you need a pack animal,
They're so sure-footed. They're amazing pack animals because they're just so sure-footed. Bettina says, get your daughter an experienced pony or a small horse. I would say don't get him any pony. Make sure that it's well-trained because them ponies, man, they are stubborn.
my understanding was in the Wild West, donkeys were like when Kid Carson was, going on breaking the trails west, donkeys were more used than horses.
For pack animals?
For everything.
For riding?
For pack animals. Everything.
I heard mules too. I heard something about
They're
mules.
also very stubborn.
They're hardy, and they actually they're more aggressive towards predators as well.
They are.
So they're awesome. If you can't get a livestock guard dog and you want another, hooved animal around the farm, donkeys or mules are perfect for it. They will kill coyotes and
yeah,
the like.
They're actually dangerous for unknown humans as well. Because there are donkeys. I have a friend that has a goat farm and she has a donkey in there, and she has to tie up the donkey before having somebody come into the pen with them because he will literally charge the human coming in to pet the goats. Yeah.
Right. Yikes. Sorry, I missed who. The audio was kind of botchy here. I missed who the fourth person is in the chat.
I'm Steve. I'm the Hawaii Volcano Squad on YouTube. I'm Steve.
Cool. Hey, Steve.
I live in Volcano, Hawaii, and I've had a kind of a YouTube channel for some time, and I recently got this place up. I moved from Kona up here to Volcano, and it's definitely more like, I call it the Volcano Prepper Compound, but right now I'm Airbnb-ing it. There's a guest suite, and it's just beautiful up here. And we're right by the Volcano National Park. So I was like, you guys were all talking about how much money you might make on YouTube, but Jesus, I just turned on Airbnb, and like 3 days later, I had like three day bookings, and I'm for the month of December, it's like over $1,000. That's
cool.
And why bother with YouTube? They keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you're not exactly preaching to the choir. You're where you're living. If we had, no one wants to come and live in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan for 3 weeks in 40 below Celsius, which is where.
Why do I do woofing when you just set up an Airbnb? But yeah, Hawaii does sell itself probably better.
Yeah, it does. I mean, here,
you know what? And I'll tell you, man.
Sorry, if I had an Airbnb, people wouldn't be here to work. But if we have woofers, they're there to work.
They're there to help out.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to work if they're paying enough money.
Yeah, we could hire other people to work.
Yeah.
But, my dad and his wife used to have a short-term rental house in the Okanagan. They also lived there in another house, and they finally ended up selling the short-term rental just because every year they kind of broke even, but they ended up throwing so much time and effort into making sure that their short-term rental house was, clean and
you
up to date and everything that they just.
I think you've touched on something, Jess, that kind of correlates to or corresponds to homesteading and farming in general. Farmers are typically asset rich, cash poor.
Yeah.
That's what you've always been the mantra forever. And a lot of what happens is you build and build and build, and you work your entire life to build this your farm or your homestead into a valuable asset. And at the end, you sell it, and that's where your big payout is at the end. So I mean, you mentioned that your parents were like, you know, kind of breaking even for so long, and that's kind of like farming. You break even for so long, and then at the end you sell and you cash out the equity that you've built over the course of decades.
Yeah, definitely. When we decide to sell all our equipment, we're gonna be able to travel the world.
Yeah.
Well, remember, equity is an imaginary number.
Yeah, it's affected adversely by market and what people believe it to be worth. That's where you could.
But you guys both hit on something that I want to explore now that we've got 5 minutes left. Neither of you are envisioning passing your homesteads on to your kids, obviously.
Well, I mean, if they want to, then yeah, but I would hire. I mean, they would have to buy me out somehow. Like, you know, I probably
Kids
wouldn't.
are gonna buy you out.
I mean, there would,
Yeah.
because I couldn't retire like properly if like I just gave it all away.
But Mal, you don't want to end up like, you know, the mother, the aged mother in the upstairs bedroom, staring out the window. They bring you up soup every now and again.
It works in every Italian movie. I don't know what.
No
what
way.
would be the problem.
Well,
I said earlier on, right? Like, I'm probably going to retire from homesteading
Yeah.
all one day. And if my daughter wants to take the reins and continue, then perfect. You can do it. But I'm not going to stay here till I'm like 80 years old, probably. I'm going to go live my life somewhere, you know? Like, I don't think that I'm going to do this when I'm going to be 80 years old. You know? Like, the lady that lived here was 80 years old, and I don't want to end up like that where the family doesn't come out and she can't take care of the property, and she just, you know, I don't want to finish like that. I want to be able to say I lived my life to the fullest.
Yeah.
I am young now. I'm homesteading, I'm putting in the hard work, but I'm not going to do this all my
first of
life.
all, the lady made it to 80. That says something that she made it to 80.
Yeah, but she wasn't able to work her farm. The farm was falling apart. She hadn't touched the house in 40 years.
Father time. I mean, people get, when you hit 80, everything, it hurts to do everying.
Hurts to do everything now, Steve.
I was going to
don't
say,
have to
dude,
wait
I'm
till
not
80.
even 50 yet and everything hurts.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I mean, the water is good. She drank the water that's here. She, you know, and she, you know, she was born here and she left when she was 80 years old. But like she needed help for the longest time, and she wasn't able to get it. So, you know, that's all I'm saying is that, like, I'm not gonna leave this, all the work that I put on this house, go to waste by getting old and not being able to take care of it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
fair
sell
enough.
it.
Well, there is an alternative to getting old.
But checking out early?
People die all the time. As a matter of fact, everyone that on the planet, every human being either is going to die or has died. So we're all mortal.
Yes, of course. Of course.
I know, but most people haven't dealt with that.
So with 2 minutes until the end of the podcast, we take a dive into
Mortality.
Existential. Listen,
into
I think
existential
we haven't
angst.
touched on existentially. Exactly.
Yeah.
My concern is, I'm not banking on my kids wanting to do this.
Yeah, fair enough.
My, you know, when I grew up indentured into a family business, and I railed against it. I could not stand doing it. Didn't want to do it. I've come back around and help. A lot of that has to do with personality conflicts, but I don't expect that my kids are going to want to do it, and if they decide they do, then great. But Mallorie's touched on something as well, finances, and that's a big plan here, and it's a big question here in Saskatchewan with conventional farmers. You know, they've amassed this, you know, multi-million-dollar farming operations. You know, tens of, you know, 10,000 hectare farms in some in a lot of cases, and now they're having to transition it to children, and sometimes multiple children. So these things are stuff you have to take into consideration, and you have to be paid out. I mean, you have built this asset, and I know there are some farmers that just simply gift it to their kids, and they've lived prudently and are able to afford to retire.
I was going to say, you kind of have to envy them the financial freedom to be able to do that, though, right?
Yeah.
There was somebody who used to run a farm. He has like 300 acres in Michigan that used to be a panelist on when I did my show, and basically he got old. He has two daughters who don't want to be farmers. They're going to medical school, and he just leased it out to corporate farming, and they run the farm. He still owns the property, but he just doesn't. I mean, he works for them doing stuff on the
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of farmers do, is they sell out to bigger farmers and then do the work. I was just going to say, I remembered what I was going to talk about earlier. I did a little bit of research just to have it prepped when we were talking initially, and Saskatchewan has 50% of the farmland in this country, in Canada.
Wow.
50%, and that is 26 million hectares of farmland. Now,
It's like the breadbasket of the country there.
yeah, 65 million acres is what it is, Steve. Hectares doesn't compute in
American
imperial system, but 7 million acres of that is cropland that is strictly sown to cash crop.
It was a British imperial system, not.
Well,
no, we had the same. No, I think our imperial system was the same as the U.S. imperial system,
Which was British.
yes, but
they diverged.
currently even they're moving to metric. I just noticed that we're at 11:01, so we're done. So I want to thank Eric and Mallorie for coming on and having this conversation. This is stuff I've been thinking about for a long time, wondering about. Eric, it's nice to see your face. We've been sort of chatting by text and stuff for so long, but yeah. And for everyone else out there, thanks for hanging out with us either tonight or time shifted to tomorrow or next week if you weren't with us tonight. So until next time, everybody stay safe, stay sane, and be kind to each other. Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
Keep prepping, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.